Some Nintendo Switch ports are just broken, and I made it my job to find out just how broken they are. That is, if they're broken at all. I always wondered what it'd be like to be a cat in a dystopian cyberpunk world, and oh look, there's finally a game for me. Stray just dropped on the Nintendo Switch. It's been a hit on other platforms. In fact, it was even nominated to be one of 2022's Game of the Year. After over 2 years, they finally brought it to this console. Why in the world did it take so long? Was it too graphically advanced like most thought? Did it have too much cat? Let's take a look. First things first, Stray kicks off with you playing as a curious cat enjoying life in the great outdoors. But things take a dark turn when you fall into a mysterious, neon-lit city inhabited by these robots. You meet B12, a quirky little drone with its own mission, and together you try to escape from this city. It's atmospheric, emotional, and yes, you can knock things off ledges because of course, you're a cat. Stray's gameplay is all about exploration and puzzle solving, with a mix of linear and slightly open environments. The linear sections are pretty straightforward. You go from point A to B, leap across gaps, and discover hidden paths throughout various settings. There's parts of the games that really open up, like in the slums, a place where you interact with robots who live there. In this area, you take on multiple fetch quests and uncover interesting and surprisingly deep lore on this world's history. Your main robot companion, B12, helps you decode signs, store items, and even gives you tips when you're stuck. And I got stuck often because, well, just look at me. It's not just platforming though. There are these spooky wookie enemies known as Zurks, these tiny creatures that like the sweet taste of cats. There are many sections of the game where you need to do your best to run away and avoid them. You can shake them off by spamming the A button, and if they latch on you for too long, well, then you die. These intense Zurk sequences ramp up the tension and add some good variety. And I find these parts of the game the most intense for, you know, a cat game. As mentioned, the bulk of the gameplay is just you playing as a cat, finding your way around these open levels. Moving around as a cat feels pretty smooth for the most part. You'll spot prompts on ledges, and pressing B makes Mr. Kitty leap gracefully, but sometimes positioning yourself in just the right place for those prompts can feel a little bit finicky. Now, the main thing that most people are probably curious about this version is of course the graphics and performance. Well, if you've seen this game on other platforms, you'll know this game looks too good for what it is. The lighting is phenomenal, the textures and atmosphere shine, and heck, the cat's fur looks so good. But that's on other platforms. Does it actually hold up on the Switch? Well, surprisingly yes. For a Switch game, it's not that bad. Like I mentioned at the top of my video, this game released in 2022 and has taken quite a long time to bring to the console. And that's most likely because they needed to go through this game with a fine-tooth comb and work out the kinks in every asset and area to make sure they optimize it the best they can for this console. And this is a crucial step to give Switch players the best performance overall. First off, the overall resolution is clearly downgraded, with the game seemingly running around 720p docked. And the resolution can potentially drop even more in certain sections of the game, like when you're being chased by Zurks or sliding into the world from a pail on a pulley. On top of that, the textures are clearly downgraded from other versions of the game. Now, the cat, well, thankfully, it still looks like a cat and has all the animations it should, being a cat and all. But the fur looks a little less like fur, like the cat is made of Play-Doh. Fun to play with, not to eat, unless you're a Zurk that suckles the kitty till it dies. Thankfully, it's kept the dark cyberpunk aesthetic, and the lighting is surprisingly good in this game, with the dynamic shadows and some light still bouncing off the environment. Yes, it's downgraded, but it's pretty impressive all things considered. I've also noticed that there are a lot of assets with extremely low poly counts, like when you go into a building and you hop on the sink. The inside of the sink looks like it's busted, broken even. And while that's extremely critical, these are just some things that developers had to do so the Switch version stays off of fire. Now, the game's performance is a little silly. The game runs at the expected 30 frames per second. Wow, shocker. Who could have guessed this? Me, I could have. And probably so could every Switch user on this planet. This game is capped at 30 frames per second, and that's fine. Whatever, I'm used to it. But what's unfortunate is that it can chug pretty often, mainly when you're loading up new sections of the map or something intense is happening. And while it's not broken per se, it's absolutely noticeable. I wouldn't not play it because of this. To be fair, I've heard the PS4 has a similar issue at times with the frame rate, but not our goat, the PS5. So if you have a PS5, then well, what are you doing here? Thankfully, in the Switch version, the audio holds up and the sound effects and soundtrack are great. The audio design keeps you immersed, switching from peaceful melodies to tense, synthy beats as you solve puzzles or explore the city. But then I saw the price. This game has what some might call Switch tax, which just means it's more expensive on this console compared to others. This is $30 on the eShop and $40 if you want the physical game with 6 cards. These ones, they're cool, and I like to get games physically, so, well, that's what I did. The game is definitely deserving of the value, but it's actually cheaper on other platforms. So maybe if this is the only console you have, or you really want to play it handheld, this could be worth it to you. Stray is a unique mix of action, adventure, interesting puzzle solving, and an open dynamic world. Whether you're here for the interesting gaming aesthetic, or just to live out your cat dreams without dressing like one, you should find this game to be quite entertaining. Is it the best version of this game? Probably not. Is it broken? Well, not really, unless you'd consider the occasional frame dips and graphical downgrades to be. But as a portable experience, it's solid. If you're a Switch-only player, or just want to take Stray on the go, it's worth picking up, but I'd probably wait for the inevitable sale. If you want to see if LEGO know Horizons is broken or not, click this video right here. Also, please consider becoming a channel member to get your name at the end of the video and other things like the video early. Also, like and subscribe. I hope to see you in the next one. See you later.